All right, so I am calling this meeting to order at 5:34. This is a town plan hearing, so it's going to be different from our normal format from Selectboard meetings. So first, we have Senator Wendy Harrison here in the room with us. Thank you for joining us. We were going to be very fancy and have a slide deck ready for you all, but we had technical difficulties. So I have them here in my hands. It's really, if anybody's been to the hearing sessions in the past, the many that we've had, it's mostly a reiteration of that. Just briefly, what is a Vermont Town Plan? It's a 5 to 8 year planning commission prepared and select board approved townwide plan that defines our community's future, vision and goals. It meets state planning goals and it provides guidance to achieve public investments, land use regulations, and other town actions. And why have one? Well, if we have one, we can adopt land use regulations, we can designate areas for conservation and development, and we can access state and federal grants and other funding sources. The update process the town plan expires every 8 years. At the end of those 8 years, we're required to revise, rewrite, and then readopt it. For this particular process, we utilized a 15-month consultant, PlaySense. Rod is here. I forgot your last name, I'm sorry. Francis. He helped us, PlaySense helped us with the whole process. And the community meetings that we had, there were commission meetings, lots of planning commission meetings that went on late into the night as I hear. There was a planning commission, the planning commission hearing in August. Many of you attended that. And then the planning commission approved draft plan, that was in September. And now we're into the 2 select board hearings. We're mandated by the state to have 2 of them. So this is the first of them. The second one will be on November 8th. I believe it's at the same time. And we are also accepting comments through or due by 11/15/23, I believe, at midnight. Written comments, which you can send to Karen at manager@putneyvermont.org. And once we've gotten all of the comments, we, the select board, will meet again to adopt the plan. And then I guess the Wyndham Regional Commission also gets their say. And so then, really there's a lot of statutes that go into this. There are 14 substantive planning goals that the state makes us attend to. I'm not going to read all of them. I think they're online. They're also, I believe, in the plan. So with that, I'm going to ask if there's any questions, procedural questions, and then open it up to comments.
I just want to let people know, in addition to I'm Robin Ekstrom. I'm the clerk of the Planning Commission. In addition to the recording, the standard town recording, I'm also recording this meeting, which I will use for notes. So if anybody has any objection.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just make a comment? If you did not sign in, please do so. It's on the table right out here. Because I don't know everyone in the room.
Okay. So our role right here today is really just to take comments. We don't have most of the answers. We do have members of the Planning Commission here and Rod Francis to answer questions if there are things that we can answer today. Mostly what we're doing here is taking comments on the plan as it stands. So with that, I'm sorry. I already did.
Yeah.
Invited to speak? I can't see you. Would you like to speak?
I'm happy to make a couple comments.
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm Wendy Harrison. I live in Brattleboro. I'm one of 2 state senators for the Wyndham District. And first, I just want to compliment the chair for the comments that you made on August 23rd at that meeting. That showed great leadership, and your community is the better off. Generally, it's a great plan. I appreciate Sue Coakley and the team who did it. Once again, Vermont is very fortunate to have the volunteers that it does, and Putney is better off for all the work that your planning commission did and will continue to do, because it's not over. Just a couple of things that I wanted to just let you know that I've been involved with and will continue to be involved with. We had a pretty big housing bill that passed, S100, Act 47, and it has many things I hope that will be helpful to Putney. There's something called the VHIP program, so nodding your head, great. We expanded the use of that program, so hopefully folks will take advantage of that here. Duplex by right, I understand Putney doesn't have single family zoning, am I correct? So you're ahead of the curve there. That's something that will hopefully make a big impact throughout the state. Something that I was surprised to find that we actually needed to do was something called zoning by right, because evidently in some towns, the process results in property owners not being allowed to use their property the way it's zoned. So the process, because sometimes there's opposition to a development, sometimes boards will reduce what property owners are allowed to do and reduce it farther than they should, and is actually legal. So we put in language that we called zoning by right, which means that property owners are permitted to have what they're permitted to have. So that hopefully that may be of help to you. And then just some things that in the future that I'd like to work on. Stormwater. Stormwater is a big issue. We need to figure out ways to fund it. Stormwater utilities can be very helpful, and I'm going to work on that. Water, wastewater. Obviously, your utilities are critical to housing and everything else. We need to find ways to make those easier to be stable. It's great that you're looking at hiring a zoning administrator and a housing person. I am amazed that your town manager can be the zoning administrator and everything else. That's very impressive. But you shouldn't have to do that.
She's actually 3 people.
And then just one little big thing is the FERC relicensing. The dams on the Connecticut are getting relicensed, and it'll be a 30 to 50 year license. And just please comment on that, and just ask for what you think you want, especially recreation, because the river is a public resource that's being used for private gain, and so in exchange for that private gain, then the owners of the hydroelectric dams are supposed to provide amenities. And it's just really important that you ask for what would be helpful, especially things on the river and things like that. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your work.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll open it up to public comments. I'll do what I normally do. I'll bounce back and forth between online and in the room. So I will start with in the room. Are there comments in the room on the town plan? Any part of the town plan? Doug?
I'm not sure if this pertains to the town plan specifically, but about a month or so ago I sent an email regarding the term character with regard to a personal project that I'm planning that will require a lot of engineering work before I submit the plan. And I want to make sure that I don't violate the character of Main Street with what I'm planning, and I can't find the definition of character. It's mentioned many times in the 2015 plan, it's mentioned 3 times in this plan, and it's mentioned almost 24 times in the regs. So the question I have pertains to the definition of character with regard to my specific project proposal before I spend thousands of dollars. I don't know if this is the time to bring that up or later.
Well, it sounds like a procedural question, but does somebody on the planning commission want to take that on? Sue?
Well, hi, I'm Phil Bannister, been on the planning commission for a long time, and am currently on the DRB, and serving as chair. A suggestion might be, and I would get sort of be looking for Karen's nod of approval as zoning administrator, is that an applicant is encouraged to visit with the zoning administrator to discuss a project, and can then schedule a sort of pre-application discussion with the DRB, so that if there are specific issues that come up, to get a feel for what that interpretation might be, I would suggest that that would be a possible path.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Doug.
Are there any comments online about the Putney town plan as it currently stands? One second. So I don't have anybody online that wants to speak right now. Laura?
My name is Laura Campbell, resident of Putney, and I have the town plan draft for public hearing, which is out of date now because there's the Selectboard approved version. In both. No.
No?
Correct.
It's the same plan.
Planning
Planning
Commission
Commission
approved plan, excuse me.
Yeah, okay.
And the pagination is confusing. And where the maps occur, for example, there are no page numbers, and then they pick them up further on. So I was just studying it and comparing the 2 versions at the library last night. And this isn't the final draft, is it? I mean, the page numbers will include the maps so that we can refer by page number.
This is probably a good question for Rod Francis, but I also know that this was designed to be read online. It's more online friendly than it is print friendly, so that might be part of your problem.
That is part of my problem.
But do you want to comment on the layout?
I'm looking at page 20, and it's to natural resource. It's the natural resources and current land use map. So it's in the.
Oh, it is there online.
It's in the bottom left-hand corner. So the page number occurs on opposite pages. So if you like a book, so it's on the outside margin of each page.
Okay.
It's small, but it's there.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Every page has a number or a letter.
Yes, and then, of course, with the additions, certain pages have sort of slid into the next page, but usually they stop and the heading comes, yep. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments online? Second chance. Remember that if you think of questions later, you can email them to Karen at manager@putneyvermont.org.
Putney VT.
Putney VT, did I say I was going to mess
That's
that
okay.
up? Manager@putneyvt.org.
There you go.
Comments in the room, Robin?
Just to amplify on that a little bit more, Rod, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is kind of intended to be an online document.
Yeah.
And one of the goals of that is so that the maps are expandable online. You know, the way you can zoom into a Google map? So, you know, a lot of work went into doing this in a way that people can say if they wanted to look at the slope at their property, they can do that on the online version. So there's a lot more detail than in the maps, at least, than meets the idea, the eye in the printed version.
Thank you for that explanation.
Okay, well, we here in the select board don't need to stay here any longer than you all have questions. So I'm gonna ask one more time if there are any comments in the room. Are there any comments online? Okay then, hearing none, I'm going to close the hearing. Do we need to vote on that? We probably do. A motion to close the hearing? So moved. Second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to close this hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yes.